to talk to you about James Brayshaw.
Yes.
And I know that you will automatically say that I work with James and that we're friendly and all those sort of things, but this has been in my core for a couple of weeks now. You've accused James pretty regularly of walking away from a promise he made to the Kangaroos when he took over as chairman that they wouldn't be the travelling Kangaroos and wouldn't play on the road. 2 weeks ago, you wrote about it again in the Age newspaper. He said the truth is North Melbourne is pushing to move part-time to Tasmania because it cannot afford to sustain itself at Arden Street and Etihad Stadium when it assured its members and fans that it could and would. It has taken less than 3 seasons of the new board to break that promise, which is pretty strong words. You followed up last week from memory, and this is what you had to say about the issue of moving the Kangaroos to Hobart part-time. In fact, there's a little bit...
No, this is what I was talking about, Hutchie, when I wrote that column. North Melbourne, when they first installed Eugenia Rocker, made that promise that they would no longer be the travelling Kangaroos, that they were going to be rooted in Melbourne.
I'm not talking about Eugene. You can get sidetracked. I'm talking about James Brayshaw.
The article you just read from, I said the club.
I'm talking about James Brayshaw. This is what you said last week about James.
James Brayshaw, and we haven't had this argument because they hadn't said last year that they were going to...
What's your issue with it?
But James Brayshaw, his platform when he took over as president was that they were going to put down roots in Melbourne and not be the travelling Kangaroo.
Now, that didn't sit easy with me. I wasn't sure on the night. You said that James's platform was that they wouldn't play.
Which his CEO rolled out.
No, I'm talking about his CEO. Don't get this distracted. You said James Brayshaw said that his platform was they weren't going to travel.
Yep.
We dug the tape out during the week. Now, this is what James said on the night he was elected as president of the Kangaroos.
I think we've got a situation where we would be foolish if we didn't look at other markets to play games. I mean, the Hawthorn example is a terrific one. They get an enormous amount of money playing 4 games in Launceston, but they're still a terrific Melbourne-based club with enormous support in this market. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy to find a place for us to play, but if we find one and it pays us a quid, I'm not talking about playing 8 games there, but we would have to look at playing, interstate if it can be done and it makes financial sense and is good for the footy department and good for the footy club.
Well, I'm sorry I'm missing something, but that's made a mockery of your argument for the last couple of weeks.
No,
that has absolutely made a mockery of what you've been saying about
James said a lot of things on that night.
He said that very instance. He used Tasmania as the example of something they might do.
I understand that. And when I was writing about North Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, I said the club. I didn't use James Brayshaw's name. And I was referring to an article which I spoke to the CEO of the club.
You wrote. There's no direct quote from Eugenia Rocker in that story you wrote in 2008.
Hutchie.
You've said that for the last 3 years, James Brayshaw has walked away from a promise.
Craig,
and that is the speech from the night itself when he flagged Tasmania could be an option.
Look, you can say that all you like and you can show me a lot of things that James has said. He made a few promises on that night that haven't come true. I mean, we know he made a few other undertakings about the footy club.
You can see now that you've been wrong about this. You can see that he did flag games in the state as
the club, when they formulated their policy early in 2008, decided that they were not going to be the travelling Kangaroos. They made that comment. James made it at different times as well. I'm sure he made that promise that night when he was campaigning for election. He also said they were going to do a whole lot of other things that they haven't been able to deliver, Craig. I don't want to be enemies with James Brayshaw. Don't make me come out.
But you said in that share last week that he'd broken his promise that they wouldn't play games.
I said the club.
We're just showing that to be
the club had made an undertaking that they were no longer going to be the travelling Kangaroos. We can argue about semantics all you like. I can show a few other things he said that night that haven't happened. His CEO, as following an instruction from the board, made a promise that they were not going to be. And don't tell me he didn't make a quote in the article. I was there with Eugene.
I just read your story before. There's no direct quote from Eugenia Rocker in that story at all.
I don't think at the time, the club, the CEO and the president were very happy with the article and saw it as very positive. There were no complaints about it at all, Craig.
I'm missing something, Gary.
Don't make this a footy show versus Carol.
No, I
wish North Melbourne. No, I'm not, Craig. I wish North Melbourne
and
James Brayshaw all the luck in the world. They said, why did they say they were not going to be the travelling Kangaroos?
We've got to move on. We're running out of time. But that was on the night that he was appointed. It was on the night he was appointed. He flagged the possibility that they're going to travel. So it's not such a big deal and a big issue that they're playing to go and play 4 games in Hobart. It's not a big deal.
They then said, after meetings with the AFL and after rolling out their policies, that they were not going to be the travelling Kangaroos. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologise for this. I'm not going to say that I'm wrong. Why would I have written it, Craig? You think I made it up?
Well,
second out. We need to get on Damien Hardwick. sitting in.
I think that's much more interesting.
Damien Hardwick.
Deal with it with James on Thursday night.
Well, you deal with it as well. I think there's a pretty clear differences of opinions. I'm not sure we're going to get sorted out until the two come together. Damien Hardwick to join us in the Nissan Navara hot seat.